Hello everyone, this is Tim again. This is going to be a video response to Lee, who I believe his channel on YouTube is Master of the Game. So he posted up a video, I guess it was more like a rant, about rules lawyers and commenting on things that are a little off with the way someone runs a game, and just trying to be consistent with how you apply the rules to a session. So I titled this like being a rules assistant or advisor / being a rules lawyer, or a rule lawyer, however you want to phrase it. So when you're playing in a game, it can be challenging to get your point across sometimes, and to do so tactfully and respectfully, and also at the right time. So what I would consider someone who's like a rules advisor or rules assistant would be someone who, when there's a good moment, like a perfect moment, like a down moment, a downtime, someone's looking up a rule or someone had to go to the bathroom, that would be the perfect moment, I think, to bring these, I guess kind of like Festivus, bring forth your grievances, and mention to the GM, like, that ruling you just had, this on page 47, paragraph 3 or whatever, this is how it actually is, just, for future reference, because that kind of messed up my planning for my turn. Like, I thought the rules were like this, and because you ruled that way, now I got to change my plan, or the last, maybe the things you had done for the last 3 turns to get to that point are thwarted because the game is not what you expect it to be. So as a player, that can feel like someone just pulled the carpet out from under you, which is not a nice feeling. So, to get back to my point about timing, like I said, I think putting forth these, objections to how the rules are applied are best left to down moments after the session, and sometimes it's best to do this mano-a-mano, GM to player, without the rest of the group there, unless some of the other players also had a problem with that. Again, it's that cliche of talk to the GM, talk to your players, that kind of thing. So in my games, I've had several players that I think people would have classified as a rules lawyer. And in those games, I think the way they went about it was very helpful. Especially since, I think a lot of you guys know, I run a lot of different games. So a lot of times, I'm the first person in the group who has had any contact with the system or setting. And I'm kind of learning as I'm going. And when you're in a situation like that, you need a little bit of leeway. You need some help from the players. And this player in particular had brought it upon themselves to go out and get this new system, which is, it's not the norm. Most players will just play the game that the GM has a copy of. Or, I like to have a player copy and a GM copy. And I'll even lend out the player copy just so that, there's, I don't know, like looking up spells and references and, what part of initiative is this in or what order or phase is that in. It's just, I find it's easier and worth my money just to have another copy. Because let's say I have like a bookmark or something in my book, I don't want to lose my bookmark to hand you over the spell section. So, but in this example, sorry, I'm rambling again. I had lent this book out to this player, or he had bought it. I can't remember which. I think he bought his own. But there was a problem that I made a ruling. I thought the rules worked, like this. And he just waited to a very nice time after the session, like, hey man, just for future reference, this is how that worked. I can understand why you would have thought it worked like that, but this is how it's worded. I think it would work better like this. And in most of those times, I'd say like 90% of those times, I was like, you know what, you're right. Like that's better. That looks like it would work a lot more smoother. Or I understand like your interpretation better now, and I'm going to implement that in the future. So there's a lot of give and take there, I think, between GMs and players as far as rules go, and how they're applied. And again, it's just about consistency. I almost want to use the word precedent. Once something is in play in your group, you've made a ruling on something, or you've checked the rules and you're pretty sure this is how it goes, like, try to be consistent about that. Have the same same carpet underneath the players' feet so that they don't feel like they're being cheated or having like a monkey wrench thrown into their plans when they're trying to do complex actions. Things that take 2, 3, 4 rounds, only to find out later that that's not going to work because my GM's being a dick right now. So I guess I would say if you find yourself, Lee, being a quote unquote rules lawyer, that just think about the way you go about it. Are you being disruptive? Are you breaking someone out of their immersive state, whatever that happens to be for that person? Are you ruining the session for them by mentioning a +1 bonus where after a session would be a perfect time for that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just a matter of how, when, why, and just try to do it as tactfully as possible. And on the other side of things, as GMs and players, I don't think we need to be as sensitive about this stuff. It's really just, like I said, +1 bonuses, and it's not... Try not to be defensive when someone calls you on something. Because, this is like psychology, and I really see a lot of psychology in the sessions we have as players and role players. Just try not to be defensive. Try to listen to the other person's perspective. Try to incorporate it into your own. Come up with some compromises. And, all that happy malarkey. So, Lee, that's my quick little response to you, man. I got to do some stuff, so I will talk to you all later. And thanks for checking in, Jake.